must be nice. It's interesting to watch the politics that surround war. The very same congressmen and women that voted for it are using the present opportunity to say things like, we must learn from our mistakes of the past in order for us not to repeat them. I had a conversation the other night about what being the commander-in-chief meant. This position was set up by the Founding Fathers in hopes of bypassing some deliberation in a time of conflict. They thought that perhaps too much bureaucracy would dampen the nation's ability to defend itself properly, and in order to prevent the president from becoming a warmongering idiot, Congress was put in control of finances. It gets tricky, though, when you consider a conflict like Iraq. The U.S. doesn't belong there. It was a preemptive strike on a non-threatening enemy who shared one common trait with the U.S. They both hated terrorists. So the commander-in-chief calls for more troops. The tough-talking newly elected Democrats holding control of Congress end up in a moral dilemma. By denying monies to the president, it literally gives him the ability to say, how dare you not support our troops? The conservative right starts screaming about how the plan will work, and they say what the president says about supporting troops, and the Democrats are making a grave mistake. Ironically, the exact same thing will happen if they approve the money. Let me explain. It's been made very clear by not only myself, but military generals, the Baker-Hamilton Commission, also known as the Iraq Study Group, and various other practical-minded folks, that a troop surge will not work. In fact, it will exacerbate problems before any resolution. Hell, Bush said that himself. So the Democrats will end up, perhaps a year or so from now, basically where they are today, wishing they hadn't supported the war in the first place. Interestingly, they'll use that position to advance themselves politically by stating that they wish they hadn't, so vote for them, things will change. That's what they're saying now, just listen to Hillary sometime. You see how it works in circles? It's actually pretty retarded, to be honest, and its purpose, the way I see it, is to keep the two-party system strong. The president not simply a figurehead, a powerless puppet, but a diving board of sorts for the two parties to basically use as exploits for their future positions. Opportunism at its best. So, outright, I would like to make a proposal. In a time of national emergency, the president may at any time declare a national state of so-called emergency and suspend Congress. It is this way because of the reason stated earlier, for him to take the lead in crisis without all the whining. However, right now we are faced with a different kind of situation, one which cannot simply be solved by the president or any Iraq study group. So this situation warrants proper representation of the people living within its system and the people that it's affecting directly, i.e. the Iraqis. This presidential power should go both ways. The nation's security does not rely upon, at the present, the leadership of George W. Bush directly. I propose that Congress and Senate be given the power to suspend the executive branch of the government. This means appointed members of the president's cabinet as well. Basically, a period of cooling off so that military generals may come upon a consensus as to what is best for their boys over their actually fighting. The generals who have been advising against the commander-in-chief as of late anyway, in other words. Also, since impeachment is basically a trial in which red tape may prolong an unnecessary and possibly dangerous presidency, upon the end of the suspension period, the nation is called to vote on the fate of the current president. This 2- and 4-year cycle of politics we currently have must come to an end. Are we all aware now just what the news is covering mainly in the world of politics? It's not front-page news, for instance, how Chavez in Venezuela has been given the power of law by decree, making him de facto maximum leader. It's not news that there is a massive buildup of U.S. armed forces closing on Iraq's borders, as well as, obviously, the recent kidnapping of the Iranian diplomats, when we should be inviting them in Syria to sit down and talk about Iraq, a central point the Baker-Hamilton Commission that I myself had pointed out previous to their report. What you see in here is the countdown to the election and how many people are running. Do not forget, America, we have 2 years to go with what we have now. I'd hate to look back at this period and think that we sat on our hands while Bush did as he pleased, and everyone attended conventions and fundraisers counting on their candidate to turn the nation around in '08. I mean, for fuck's sake, a dickload of bullshit can happen in 2 years, and your two-party system has successfully drawn your attention away from your president's actions and drawn it into who's going to win 2 years from now. Boycott all the corporations you want. Continue wasting your time on charity missions. We'll work on corporatism and charity as we go along. I say make amendments to national charters to make governments function more fluid and possibly work for the people, not only Americans, but the world. Peace.